Gling, 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 gling,
All
gling,
right,
gling, gling,
everybody.
gling. Chooky Beats, holla at me.
This is Brown Wealth Radio.
Who you impersonating?
I don't know, a combination of all of you, I guess.
You gotta, give me a little Jesse, man. Give me a little Jesse going on.
Dímelo, mi gente. What's going on, everybody?
There you go. There you go. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Riggs out remotely today with Dogra in studio for another episode of Brown World Radio. What's the episode of this? What's the name of this episode that you
This is
named it?
number 34. This is midterm talks, baby.
Oh, there you
A
go.
lot
Midterm
going
midterm
on,
talks.
I've
Yeah, there's a whole lot going on, man. How you been? How's the family, man? I didn't see you
been
last week.
good, man. Family good. Family's good. Kids getting big.
Yeah.
CJ's actually a little sick right now, but I mean, it happens.
TJ about to have a birthday though, right?
Yeah, he about to have his birthday. So excited about that. That poor kid, man. He's a COVID baby.
Oh.
So he's never had a party. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And Maya's fourth birthday was in April. We threw a pretty big party, and ever since
yeah.
then he's been asking, is it my birthday yet, Dad?
Yeah.
Is it my birthday? The kid sings happy birthday to himself in the mirror, bro.
That's what's hey,
He's
he's
like
just practicing.
so excited for this birthday, man. It's crazy.
Hey, it's the first one that's gonna be a
His
band.
first
So he's
big
like,
one,
yeah.
yeah. We
And
did a
if it
Zoom
doesn't live
party
up,
for him, but it wasn't the same.
and if it doesn't
So,
live up to expectations, bro, you're gonna hear about it. He's
oh
gonna
yeah,
sing
he gonna
happy
let me
birthday
know.
every day in the mirror, all sad.
Yes,
Like,
sir. But how you doing? What's going on with you?
well, I'm here at home. I'm about to start my leave. Next week. Next week should be the week that I get
Damn,
well.
it's
I get welcome
here.
into the brotherhood of fatherhood. You know.
Yes, sir. We're glad to take you in. We're glad to have you, man. So
Yeah,
that's a
man.
that's a big for you. You ready for it? You got all the checklists down. You got everything you need.
I've read as much as I can read. I think I'm as ready mentally as I'm gonna be. I think it's just a matter of the excitement. I think just the thrill of wanting to be a father and just being excited about just growing my family now that we have our house now. We're blessed that we have our situation together and just welcoming a new addition to the family.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. And remember, just take it a day at a time. There's no perfect way to do it,
Yeah,
and you got the support system right here. Me and the guys that kind of had some experience with it. So
yeah,
ask away. We're here for you. You'll probably get 5, 10 different opinions on it. You pick which one that resonates with you the most. You
yeah,
know what I mean? But
yeah,
you know, I already know you're more than ready for it, man. You've always been, the type of person that you know, is a positive person and has a positive mindset, and that's what it's about.
yeah, yeah. I
You
appreciate that.
guys are gonna be
I think
great.
I've been really lucky that I leaned on, well, not leaned on, but I think I got to speak to a lot of my teachers who are parents, and they always check in, which is always dope. Like just to have that relationship with my teachers where they check in on me and my wife, and they just kind of tell me their stories and their situations, and it's been really eye opening how different their situations are, and they kind of say a lot of the same things. It's day at a time. Nobody's gonna parent that. Nobody can parent my child the way that I want to. Like I don't have to parent like anybody else. It's
Everyone's
what
gonna
we
tell you
want.
though. Your
Yeah, I'm
mom,
sure everybody's gonna tell
her
you that.
mom, your siblings, her siblings. Everyone gonna have an opinion. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I think it's one of those like I'll welcome it, but if I get a bunch of opinions, as long as they know I'm gonna choose what we want, I think that's cool. You know what
Well,
I
yeah,
mean?
they
Like
ain't got a choice. That's the way you do it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate
yeah,
your opinion, but this is what
yeah,
we're choosing.
yeah, and there's gonna be some things where I'm gonna freak out and just be like, what do
Uh,
I do?
let's see how bougie are you. How bougie did you take it? Did you get the stroller that folds into a car seat?
Oh, you already know I got that upper baby. I got that upper baby swag, bro. We're good.
There you go. Did you get a Dakota, a baby wipe warmer?
You know what? I gotta check whether we got the baby wipe warmer. I know you were asking me about it. I don't know yet, but if not,
There you
we
go, the
good,
old
bro.
school way, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna old school, but I got the we got the nursery set up. That was one of the main priorities when we moved in to get the nursery set up. I would have recorded from there, but I didn't have the setup like I got here
Nah,
in
you're
the
good, bro.
guest room. But yeah, man. Other than that, we got a great show coming up, and
Mhm.
we're gonna talk some earnings. We're gonna talk a little bit about these midterm elections, like I said in the reel. Not so much of a red wave, right?
Red wedding, red wave,
I
everybody
don't know
involved.
I don't know I don't know what happened, but
What
it's
happened,
not
Caesar
coming.
Leo? What happened, Caesar
Yeah.
Leo?
But we got some great stuff coming, man. We're gonna talk about relocation. A lot
Mhm.
relocating. for careers. And how does that affect people's growth? Does it help people's growth? Does it help you move up the ladder or help you get to where you want to get to quicker? I think we both have pretty similar ways that we kind of did our careers, but there's a lot of information that we're going to speak to. I know that you're going to bring some fire with that credit,
Yes,
and
sir. We're gonna
if
do a
we have
little.
any new listeners, you're going to kind of give them a little crash course on the
Yes, sir.
beginnings of credit and understanding that stuff. So it's going to be real fun episode, man. But let's go ahead and get it cracking with the disclaimer.
Let's do it.
Let's see
Drum
how I
roll,
do at home.
please.
All right, here we
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum.
go. Our content is intended to be used. It must be used for educational and informational purposes only. It is very important to do your research, aka do your homework before making an investment decision that should be based on your own personal circumstances. Investing has inherent risk, and past performance does not guarantee future results. You should take independent financial advice from a professional connection with or independently research and verify any information that you wish to rely upon with the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise.
Hey,
Woo.
let's go.
Not bad, not bad, not bad. So let's keep it going with what's the 411, yo? What's the
What's the
411? We
411?
got it going on, man. We got it going on.
Appreciate that, Liz, my man. All right, so the first story we got for you is about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin briefly touches a new low for the year. FTX token plunges more than 75% in broad crypto sell-off. The cryptocurrency market tumbled Tuesday after Binance and FTX, the world's two biggest crypto exchanges, agreed to merge to address what Binance called a liquidity crunch. Bitcoin tumbled about 12.6% to 18,203, according to Coinmetrics. Earlier in the day, it fell down to 17,300 at its lowest point. Ethereum dropped to 18.2% after falling as low as 1,228. The moves after Backman Fried announced on Twitter that Binance will be buying FTX's non US business for an undisclosed sum. FTX is the world's third largest crypto exchange behind Binance number one and Coinbase number two. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao confirmed the news minutes later. Smaller crypto assets tied to Alameda, the trading company also owned by FTX chief executive Sam Bankman-Fried, suffered some of the biggest losses. FTX token, the native token of the FTX trading platform, plunged 76.4%. The token tied the popular Ethereum competitor Solana, of which Alameda is a big backer, which lost 26.4%. So,
Man,
a lot going on in the crypto market, right? Big
yeah,
plunges happening, and it goes back to having that liquidity. These companies are over leveraging themselves, and you got to have the liquidity to back it. And, why is Binance backing them? Because they know if one pillar falls, it impacts the other ones. So they don't want the whole crypto market to fall. But, it goes back to, there's a lot of people that are against crypto and don't want it to be successful.
yeah.
What are your thoughts, Ricks?
I don't. I've always thought that crypto was just super volatile. I think that it's really hard to say that it's going to be a steady, stable type of currency. Just what, a year ago, 2 years ago, we were talking about like, oh, it's going to go to $100,000 a coin. And, you heard that story about the dude that lost like 95% of their wealth. Like,
Yeah, so he lost 95% of his wealth.
yeah,
So he went from just a little 16
yeah.
billion
And,
down to about 900 million. I
you
think
know,
he's
and,
still
and
fine.
we talk all the time about not putting all your eggs in one basket. And we talk about, understanding that diversification is important. We talk about, you know, crypto is not what is it? It's not sanctioned. It's not, regulated.
Yeah, there's
So
no
it can go
regulation.
up and
That's the whole
down.
point of it, though.
So you have all of these businesses that are now having to join together to just try to stabilize it, which means, it's will it go up? Yeah, it probably will go back up at one point. But to say that anybody knows or to say that this is the wave of the future, I think it's still too difficult because this world runs on, hand to hand. You still have that.
I think definitely cryptocurrency definitely has a large place in the future, 100%. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Um, I do think, the same way we try to educate people about the stock market. I mean, I think it applies to crypto as well. if you're investing in cryptocurrencies or certain tokens that you truly believe in, a Bitcoin and Ethereum that you believe has long-term longevity, these plunges, these drops, it happens. It happens in the market as well. It's kind of in the market right now. So don't
And it's been the
panic,
history of them.
don't sell,
Yeah.
don't your knees might be shaking, it might look bad, but you invested it in the first place, right? So you
Mhm.
believed in it, you thought it's gonna bring, wealth or build some type of financial gain.
Yeah.
Hey, it's just probably gonna take a lot longer than you expected. So
Yeah, and we've seen it happen before. I think Bitcoin at one point lost like 90% of its value before shooting up to like 2000% at its highest. So it's one of those things. It's always going to continue to move, and it's just a lot of stuff that's going on with crypto. But we're going to keep moving on. And Mark Zuckerberg tells employees that layoffs are coming today. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg told company executives that major layoffs at the tech giant will begin on Wednesday, the Wall Street Journal reported. Meta declined to comment to CNN on the report, which Zuckerberg told executives of Facebook's parent company that he's accountable for the job cuts after his over optimism about growth had led to excessive hiring. Meta had more than 87,000 employees as of September, per the SEC, representing a year-over-year increase of 28% of just staffing while the pandemic was going on and business was booming. More recently, the company's core business has been hit hard by fast-growing competition from rivals like TikTok. I know that you're a TikToker, Chris, as well as recent changes from Apple relating to ad targeting. Fears of looming recession have also led advertisers to tightening their belts, so they're not getting a lot of ad dollars either. Once boasting a market capitalization of more than 1 trillion, Meta is now valued at 250 billion. So just imagine that's a 75% drop in your market cap. Meanwhile, the company has been spending billions of dollars on future versions of the internet dubbed the metaverse. I don't know if you've seen the metaverse. It's kind of a lot of stuff that's going on, which remains still years away, likely. Late last month, Meta posted its second quarterly revenue decline since going public and reported the profit was less than half the amount it made during the same period last year. Amid a broader market downturn, it's a downturn economy right now. This particularly pummeled the tech sector, and shares for Meta have fallen more than 70% just this year alone. So, as always, as we talk about, you have a lot of companies that you know they end up getting rid of staff whenever their liquidity goes down, and when your staffing increases goes up 28% in 1 year, chances are, unless you keep growing at that pace, you're going to have to lose staff at one point. And to lose 75% of your market cap, not only is that going to hurt your stock owners, it's going to hurt their stock price, it's going to hurt your wallet, but it's going to hurt any liquidity that you have to pay your people. So what are your thoughts on this
no,
going on? Is it expected? Is
100%.
it is it a shock?
Nah, hell no, it's not a shock. I mean, most major companies are either announcing that they're halting hiring or they're cutting back. They're laying off.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla, Google, Apple, they've all had their own little statements about it, right?
Yep.
Now, this company has taken a beating. So to not expect them to lay people off is just absurd. To your point, they lose three-fourths of their market cap. Like, come on, of course people are gonna go. You're surprising it's not more people going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
it's
I
not
think it
going.
I think it hurts higher just because they hired so many people last year.
Yeah, a hundred
Oh,
percent, 100%. And I mean, it's part of it. And why is this happening? Yeah, it does go back to TikTok taking a lot of its business, but Apple's really the difference. Apple giving us the choice now to allow them to watch our stuff and learn from us and not. That's the
Okay.
difference right there,
Yeah.
because that's
Oh,
how
okay.
Zuckerberg was making all his money. He was
Do
able
you
to
think
take
it
that.
has? Do you think any of this? Sorry to cut you off. Do you think any of this has to do with the fact that there was like a big what was it? It was like a big backlash in the type of algorithms and stuff that they were putting in regards to advertisers, in
No,
regards
exactly.
to.
Yeah, Zuckerberg had a monopoly on getting this data and selling it to companies to learn about,
Mm,
our personal likes,
preferences.
preferences, exactly. And Apple had they don't owe nothing to Facebook. And how many Apple phone users do we have, besides DC out there? And I guess
Yeah.
Randy's gonna switch sides
Nah,
eventually.
he ain't gonna switch sides,
But
bro.
but most Apple users, Apple gave the choice. Hey, do you want them to be able to look at it or not? and a lot of people opted out. So that
I
cut.
mean, it's privacy, man. Like nobody wants to hit up their phone and then all of a sudden they're like they were thinking about I want to eat something at this place and all of a sudden you see an advertisement for it. It's kind of
Mhm.
scary.
Well, you got to turn your microphone on for that, and like which apps have access to your microphone is crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Big
it's
brother's
crazy, man.
watching. Shout out Caesar Leo.
Always, always. Shout out to Caesar Leo. So go ahead, hit him up about this next story about Tesla and Twitter.
All right. So Musk sells 3.95 billion of Tesla stock after buying Twitter. Elon Musk sold that of the electronic vehicle maker's shares just days after closing his buyout of Twitter. Musk unloaded 19.5 million shares, according to regulatory filings on Tuesday in New York, his first disposal since August. The documents didn't indicate that the transactions were pre planned. The world's richest person followed through with his takeover on the social media platform in October after spending months trying to get out of it. In August, Musk had said he was done offloading Tesla stock and that it was important to avoid an emergency sell of the shares in case he was forced to close the Twitter acquisition and struggled to bring in additional equity partners. It looks like Musk is preparing for things to stay bad at Twitter for the next year, said Gene Munster of Loop Ventures after the stock sales became public. He's preparing for Twitter to be in a money hole. Well, it's a unique situation. He wanted to buy it. He wanted to get out of it. He was going to get sued. Some people act like, well, he realized, well, damn, I'm going to lose money because they're trying to sue me for it. All right, F it. I'm going to buy it. So went through to buy it. Now he bought it. And now he's having fun with it. And people aren't too happy with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do think people, in my personal opinion, people are judging him a lot earlier than they should be. Like what he plans to do with Twitter is crazy. It's like a one-stop shop for so many different things. China has a version of this. I've heard him talk about it. We or something it's called over there. If he brings it over here to the United States, where like you purchase, you like everything's through this. You know what I mean? He actually, it was X.com is kind of what was his vision was back in the day. And when
Uh-huh.
he sold PayPal, he sold that domain with it. He since was able to buy X.com back.
Oh,
So
okay.
he plans to use kind of like Twitter and X.com somehow combined to create this like new one-stop shop social media economical thing that he plans to do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
give him time to do that, you know?
Uh-huh.
With the whole blue check thing, right? Like AOC over there mad that he's charging $8 a month to use it, right? Company's got to make money. He sold it. He bought it for 44 billion, right? When you find out that, which Elon Musk confirmed, I don't know if you know this, people that were working for Twitter, kind of like with the shoe raffle, you know how to get your shoes, to get your blue check mark, you were paying up to $15,000 under the table to people at
Mhm.
Twitter to get your blue check mark.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
And we had a good conversation last week about what those check marks actually mean. And again, my whole thing is that I don't think it should be seen as saying this is a reliable source. This is an it's more of a verification of this is the actual person's identity. You
Well,
know,
the blue check marks, it's a sign of status for a lot of people. You're verified. You're legit. You're somebody. You know
and
what I
that's the
mean?
and that's the problem. That's the
100%.
problem. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter what you spew. If you're not a credible source, a blue check mark should not make you a credible source.
I mean, that's
Um,
to you and I, just that sounds like basic understanding. But there's a
yeah.
lot of people on Twitter, oh, they see a blue check mark. This is somebody. They must know what they're talking about.
Well, but
That's
that's the problem with social media, and I think that's
in
that's
general.
that's more of a widespread thing of just ignorance and just looking for status. When status doesn't mean success, status doesn't mean that you're credible. It means that apparently enough people follow you, or you've paid through to get this status. So, um,
I know one thing
it's
this is doing is really pissing off Tesla investors because, it's causing that
I
uh
haven't seen too many Tesla owners be very happy recently either. It looks like a lot of like the attention that they were getting is no longer there either. So
well, yeah, like a lot of people are like, hey, Tesla, the Tesla fans out there, the Tesla stands, shout out James Matt Perez, they want a Musk focused on continuing to improve and advance Tesla.
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's one of the richest men in the world, so I'm sure he's capable of a myriad
But you
of
know what?
things.
A person only has enough capacity to really
Hundred
take care,
percent.
undertake something that big. If you're talking
You
about
only
he's
do
trying to
so
do
much.
X.com and make it what he wants it to be, I think to say
Potentially,
that he's gonna
potentially. I
have
don't
the
know.
capabilities of doing all of that at once, it only makes sense that it is a money pit. He's gonna lose a lot of money in the investment. So it's just a matter of how does it come out on the end. And hopefully what it doesn't do is that it doesn't create a space where it's just again divisiveness,
Look,
hate,
man.
all
I
that
mean,
stuff.
listen. That's not the divisiveness, that hate. That's going to be there, regardless on
I,
Twitter or where. These people
yeah,
are going to
I,
still
I,
be there.
I
So don't
understand.
blame the platform for it. You know what I mean?
I do understand it.
For
What
people
I'm
to
hoping,
believe, for people to believe that this is not going to make money, we're talking about the man that became one of the richest men in the world. He knows how to make money. He's going to
yeah,
make money. It might not be tomorrow, might not be next month.
yeah,
I'm not betting against them.
yeah,
That's just me.
yeah. There's a whole lot going on. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with hopefully people can grow their sensibilities and kind of rest more on their morals as opposed to like their emotions. It's gonna take time, and obviously not everybody's capable of doing it. But I think at the end of the day, this whole notion that he's like, oh, I'm gonna piss off the far right and the far left. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to do. I do hope that it does become more of a beacon of productivity. If it's a one-stop shop for people to be able to buy stuff and get investing and do all of these things like a real source of technological advancement, I'm all for it. If it ends up spinning the other way and just becoming more of a cauldron, then I mean, I'm gonna
What
be
do
able
you
to talk a lot of shit. I'm gonna be
What do
able
you
to say a
think?
whole
What do
lot
you
of
think
shit.
about him? Kind of like suspending people. Like he banned what's her name for impersonating him, changing her name to his
Okay,
name.
so yeah, the
What
the
do you think
actress.
about that?
Well,
It was the comedian. What
isn't
was her
that
name? Damn, I forgot her name. The
isn't that
redhead
very
one.
hypocritical? Isn't that hypocritical? Isn't that a double standard? Like you could, I want people to come on and say whatever they want to say. Just don't say shit about me. Isn't that hypocritical?
No, it's not just don't say shit about me. It's don't impersonate someone else
It,
without putting parody in there.
yeah, but it was
And
parody.
to another thing, if I paid $44 million, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want.
Billion. Okay, so then
44 billion.
don't say it's a free space.
It is a free space.
It's not,
Oh,
bro. It's
listen,
not.
it,
Not if that's the verifications are for people to say who they really are, right? If
yes,
somebody says that they're Elon Musk talking shit, just to come off like a dumbass and make them look like an idiot, that's a parody. Without the verification, it's a parody. And that's what the verification should be. It's not about how many followers.
but it's not
And
just
I
Elon
think
Musk. If anybody does that about anybody, they'll get suspended. It's not just Elon Musk. It's a rule across the board.
it seems like he hit that and he cared more about that first. But it
He
just
did put that out there, but again, I paid $44 billion. Don't
okay.
tell me how to run it.
Yeah, no.
Don't
They
tell me how to run it.
if
You
you
ain't you
want
don't
free
have the right
speech,
to.
if you're saying
This
that
is
you're
not
gonna piss off everybody, but if you're
this is
saying you're
not a
gonna piss off
public.
everybody, it is.
No,
It's
no,
a
no.
public space.
It's not like it's a public society. You get me? It's a company. He could
No, but
choose.
he wants Twitter to be free, a free space for people to say whatever the hell they want. So don't go back and then start saying you can't say these type of
No, he
things.
didn't say no, no, no. See, now you put away. It's not completely whatever the hell they want. There's certain guidelines.
Are there though? Are
Yes,
there?
yes. There's
What was going
certain.
on? What was going on? I know that you guys have had a lot of really interesting talks in the chat, and
Mhm.
I just kind of browsed through them. But what was going on? If you could kind of like let me and just kind of explain it to me, when people were reposting all these things about people saying like the N word with the hard
Yeah, that
ER.
the N word went up 500%.
Exactly. So
So because people started saying the N word, that doesn't mean people weren't saying the N word prior. They just
no,
started
but
saying it more because supposedly it's different now.
I think that's what
Yeah,
I
but
was
they're
trying to
just
get.
measuring in the moment. You get what
Yeah.
I mean? It's not like the N word wasn't there prior to Musk. You get what I'm
Okay.
saying?
No.
Well, now that Musk
You're
bought
right.
it, it's increased so much. That
But
doesn't change the
why?
fact that
But
the
I'm
N word
asking.
shouldn't be there at all. No, it's just
No,
because
but
people started using it
but
more.
I'm. So why
There's-
isn't he blocking? Why doesn't he block or suspend the people that do that?
Why didn't Twitter block it prior?
I'm no. I'm
Because it
asking.
wasn't
I'm
part of the
asking what you think.
guidelines. I guess it
Yeah.
wasn't part of the guidelines.
So the guidelines now are you can say whatever you want as long as you don't
I don't
impersonate
know
anybody.
exactly what the guidelines are. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No,
I'm
I
just,
thought, but I think you guys had a really interesting conversation about it.
no, it was, it
I
was.
didn't jump in, and it was just. I think to me, you know, I'm
Like
not
my
an
thing is,
Elon.
I don't
I'm not an
understand how
Elon
people expect
apologist.
somebody to buy something and then all of a sudden, perfect,
No,
everything,
I think that's unfair too. That's
right?
unfair. I
Like,
think, but just not since I'm not an Elon apologist. I just think that if you're gonna really be out there and say all these things and come off as like, yo, I'm the beacon of free speech and I'm gonna make this world a whole lot better, but don't impersonate me because I'm gonna suspend your ass. I think that kind of shows, a little bit of
but
a
my
feeble
thing
mind.
is, he can do that.
So if he can do that, then he should be able to also say, you can't say these type of things about anybody, right?
But where do you draw the line, Ricks? Where do
I
you
don't
draw
know.
the line?
I don't know. That's the $1 billion question. That's what he paid for.
44 billion.
Yeah, well, that's the $44 billion question.
44.
What line is he gonna draw?
And he could spend another 44.
He probably could. He probably could easy, right?
No, he really
Yeah,
could.
but
Yeah. But yeah,
as Denzel always says, if you do read the news, you're misinformed. If you don't read the news, you're uninformed. So go ahead, hit me with that. I need $1.
I need a dollar, dollar, dollar is what I need. Hey,
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 hey. All
I
right. So
need the dollar.
let's talk about the mercado, man. And how did these midterm elections affect el mercado? Well, we had a pretty down day, man. So since you're over there and you're the studio, go ahead, hit me with that red wine.
Red, red wine. That's all you're gonna get out of me, dog.
Damn. No, the S&P 500, man, it went down 2%, 79 points to 3,748. It's just slightly lower than what it was last week. The Nasdaq went down 2% also to 263 points. It went down to 10,353. Again, just slightly lower than what it was last week. So even though I had a really bad day, it's just slightly lower than what it was last week. And the Dow Jones went down 646 points to 32,513 and 94 points. Again, these aren't I'm sorry. The Dow Jones actually went up slightly from last week. So obviously, the Dow Jones is more industrial and things like that. But the economy did get hit, you know, pretty negatively because of these midterm elections. Because obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty in how, which party is going to control which part of which house or which Senate. So, it's a lot that's going on with that. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the midterm elections in a bit. And again, if you're just tuning in, you are listening to Brown Wealth Radio here on YouTube. Thank you so much for everybody that's joining us on TGN Latinx and Brown Skin Investors. And now we're going to talk a little bit of earnings with, I'm going to go ahead and try the song.
Estamos bien. Hey.
All right.
All right, all right. So we got some earnings talk. We're gonna talk about Disney. DIS. All right. Now, this company right here, I mean, how long Disney been around? Who doesn't love Disney? But we'll talk about the earnings.
Do you
So,
love Disney, though, bro?
with kids, I do now. I mean, I
Okay.
got Mickey and Minnie all over the crib. Don't worry, you're gonna see it. Blankets, stuffed animals, watches, clothes, bro, pajamas. It's all over the
I
place.
think the only thing that scares me is that I'm actually closer to Disneyland than I've ever been as far as where I
Oh,
live. So it's going to be, I
hey,
think I'm like 20 minutes away, bro.
hey, take advantage. But I think under 3, they're free. So milk it. Get for wifey. So get it out of wifey system.
Yeah, but she ain't free. She ain't free, so. Yeah, no, I think I've already been told. We've already discussed it and we've already decided that it's gonna be a frequent thing when the
Bro,
baby's here.
we have pancake, what do you call it? Stencils? I don't even know what you call it. Shaped in Mickey and
Yeah.
Minnie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if
That's
I
cool.
make Mickey for Maya, it doesn't
Yeah.
have the bow, and she knows. So she needs the mini stencil, not the Mickey.
So before we get into earnings, how's your pancake game, bro?
It's gotten a lot better. Kodiak pancake, shout out Kodiak pancakes. They're protein, they're better.
Oh,
You
you
get
are
the chips
giving your
on them.
kids protein pancakes, man. No
Yeah,
wonder you
from the
gotta make them
start.
from Disney and Mickey, bro.
From the start, bro. You
Look,
know, you throw
I'm
some
gonna hit
fruit
you
in
up
there.
later. I'm gonna hit you up later with the secret recipe of how I make mines, and they're
Okay.
amazing.
All
So
right. You have to put me
I
on
got to
game.
put some game on you.
Nice. All
But
right.
let's talk about earnings. How they do, man?
So down 10% after hours on Tuesday. Revenue of 20.2 billion, missed estimate of 21.3 billion, but up 9% year over year. Fourth quarter guidance between 1.8 and 1.88 billion, didn't blow out estimate of a 1.85 billion. EPS of 0.30, missed estimate of 0.55, down about
Wow,
19% year
that's
over
a big
year.
miss.
That is a pretty big miss. But considering where the market is in general, I think that's part of it, not
Yeah,
just the earnings.
yeah. I mean, the
Streaming's
revenue,
lost.
to see the revenue go up,
Yeah, streaming's lost 1.5 billion in the quarter, missing forecast of 1.1 billion, and almost double year ago period. CEO Bob Chapek expects Disney Plus to be profitable in 2024, which is important for the stock since Wall Street is no longer rewarding growth exclusively. It has come with profitability. In-person business was up as parks and experiences, domestic, international parks, cruises, consumer products hit 7.4 billion, 36% year over year, beating Wall Street estimates of 5.8.
Okay.
5.8 to 7.4, bruh. No matter what's going on in the world, people can go to Disney.
Yeah, I mean they are
Anything for
just.
the kids.
I mean their business was up, and you see a lot of people that do go to Disney, and it's just it's a way of life for a lot of people. I mean, I've seen it. Like you just get a lot of people that love to go to Disney, and you have cruises, you have consumer products.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
was
take
looking
my
at,
and the kids on a cruise next
yeah,
year.
that part about Disney Plus, that Wall Street's saying that just because you have growth, if you don't have profitability, like it's gonna affect you. I think that makes a lot of sense if you
No, it
really think
does.
about
It does. Exactly. It does. 52-week high, 203. Currently, it's at 91,
it. Wow.
144. Average price target. Rennie bought just under 90. He's currently
Yeah,
underwater and will be more under 80.
we'll buy more. Yeah.
He will
So
buy more. Sorry.
he's got price points at 80, at 71, and if it hits 61, load the boat. He's talking about the price targets there. They're like 125 and 145 short term. But think about it. If you really wait for it, 3 to 5 years, it could potentially hit new highs at above 200. So, it seems like it's at a good price right now, but you don't want to just load the boat right now just because if it continues to go down, you're gonna go down with it. So
Hey, you could always dollar cost average. If you're not in
yeah,
at all, it's a good time to get in. You never know where
yeah,
the bottom is. Rennie's giving out prices of potential. It may not get there, like he said, at 61. If it gets there, probably not. It
yeah.
does get there. It's a little worrisome, but if it
Mhm.
does, hey, buy it up. Because one thing you got to remember about Disney, kids. Kids are a big part of it. But guess what? There's a whole lot of adults addicted to Disney.
Yeah, there
A
are.
whole lot.
Yeah, there are.
You
Yeah,
know
there are.
what I mean?
But to see that volatility of going down 10% after hours yesterday because of the earnings, I think it's just one of those telling signs that, like, a lot of these earnings reports, whether they have good news or bad news, is just so volatile because of the market overall. So just
Mhm.
understand that. And we've talked about it over and over and over the last couple of weeks, that just because of a stock has good earnings or is slightly lower or slightly higher than they're expected, it doesn't mean that the stock is going to shoot up. So another company that we're going to speak to is Roblox, RBLX, RBLX, yeah, and that fell 21%. Its revenue of 702 million beat the estimate. So again, it beat the estimate of 686, which was up 10% year over year, and the expected the EPS expected profit per share is negative 50 cents, and that was worse than their estimate of negative 35 cents. The CFO explained that the biggest headwind was a strong dollar because its international user growth is outpacing US growth. So meaning a lot more money is being spent internationally, and the currency exchange right now for many countries is not favorable. He shared that daily users were at 58.8 million on average, which is up 24% from the year earlier. And it won't keep hiring at the same pace, but it will continue to hire, and hiring costs were actually 56% up higher year over year, and they're spending 160.3 million on just hiring. It hasn't been a great year for the stock because many people feel that Roblox will be the true home of the metaverse, and kids love it compared to Facebook or Meta. I know that I'm a Facebook guy, I guess because I'm older, but its 52-week high was 141.60. Currently, it's at $31, and its average price ticket right now, its target is $43.87. Rennie's got it at 33, so again, he's underwater, but his price targets are at 27, 22, and 17. So just imagine if you're able to get in, if it hits 17, and its price target in a few months could be 45 to $50 and upwards to $70. And just imagine if it ever hits its high from the year. So again, this one had good revenue and it fell 21%. So it's just a matter of really understanding what's going on. But these were two of the biggest earnings reports that they were out. So let's keep this moving, man. But what are your thoughts on Roblox? I don't know too much about it, but what do you think?
I mean, I think there's a lot of kids involved in it. We're still, I think people are still trying to get out and experience life and get their kids off all that technology they were on during the pandemic. So that might be a little bit why the market itself is going down in general. But I do think Roblox is going to be for the long term. It just continues to advance. There's so many games within the game that kids love it. I finally gave in and got my kids tablets,
Uh,
and there's some benefits. I do, they only get a short time to use them and things like that, and they are learning, but they do play games already.
yeah.
And my son is not even 3 years old, and Dad, I want my tablet. Nope,
Wow.
you got your time, but he wants it. He
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
how to navigate. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That
So,
I think that boggles my mind when I've seen so many young kids that understand how to use technology, and they're just gonna be, which
but if
unfortunately,
you keep
when
it
they get
away
older,
from
they're
them,
gonna be addicted. They're gonna be
yeah.
addicted to
But
that
at the
just
same
scrolling.
time, though, if you keep it away from them, they're going to be behind.
Yeah,
They do
I
need
mean
some
completely.
exposure.
Yeah, you can't completely shut them off from it, and I think as a lot of parents do, they have time constrictions and stuff like that. I think as kids do get older, though, the video game, kids are always gonna be into video games. My nephews love NBA 2K and Madden, bro. Like that's their thing right now. Like that's all they play.
And it was mine too, right? But everything needs moderation. It's
Hmm.
all about moderation.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's an interesting thing, but again, these were the earnings reports, and we're gonna do yesterday's prices, not today's price, just because I want to hear Dogra do the clip.
All
So go ahead,
right, let me get my Joey crack on.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
I
I didn't have my eye kind of
come
messed up,
on,
right? All right, let me do it
do
again.
it again, do it again.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. Sorry,
There you go.
I didn't bring the terror squad chain today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ain't blinging out. My bad.
All
But
right.
shout out Joey Crack, best
Well,
storyteller on social media.
well, the price that we're speaking of is democracy,
Ooh, listen to
and the
this.
price from yesterday is not the same as today because these midterm elections have changed some things up. Um, it was not this red wave that everybody was speaking about. Everybody thought that Biden's approval ratings or the lack thereof were going to totally affect the House and the Senate, and that all these seats were going to change. And although there was a real fear of it, Dogra, I'm really glad that what happened happened. Um, in terms of it not being true, because what that really shows is that just because people are saying that Trump is going to run in 2024, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's got the backing of as many people or that his handpicked candidates were going to be the answers in a lot of these places. So the Senate, just a little bit of an update. The Senate, it did. There was some seats lost, but the Democrats were actually the ones that picked up a seat. Third parties actually picked up a couple of seats. So right now there's no true majority in the Senate. So hopefully there will be one. And unfortunately, what that's gonna do though, it is gonna stifle some of what Biden wants to do with the second half because he's not going to have the straight majority. And unfortunately, as we've talked about over and over and over, everything is party politics now. So I don't think you're going to see very much uh, bipartisan, agreements because everything is about what can I do to stifle this candidate so that my candidate in the future can come in. In the House, the GOP did pick up 5 seats, I believe, maybe more, and the Democrats did lose 7 seats. So now the GOP does have the majority in the House. Um, but again, what are your thoughts on the lack of the red wave? What are your thoughts on there not being a real true majority except for the GOP that has it in the House?
I mean, all right. So all the cards haven't shaken out yet. They're still, counting ballots. Things are still, transpiring. We'll see where it lands. But of course, those that support their side are gonna try to speak it into existence. And your red waves come in, ready for the red wedding type thing. And was there potential? Sure, there was potential. For
Yeah,
those
I
that,
mean, it was a real fear. It was a real fear, mainly just from trying to see it as a thing of if there was really that many disenfranchised voters and many people that felt like Biden wasn't doing enough because of the state of the economy, which unfortunately, no matter what anybody tells me, it's not the in seat president that affects the economy. It's the person that left it. So, everybody can say that quote unquote Trump fixed the economy, but that was a lot of byproduct of what Obama did. And a lot of this is what Biden's trying to clean up from what Trump said. So you can't tell me otherwise.
Oh, but I'm sure you can. I'm sure Cesar Leo has something to say about that. Sorry, we missed your comment, Cesar Leo. He said, could it be that the fact that so many adults like Disney, it automatically makes it uncool for kids subconsciously?
Hmm.
The Disney one, I don't think so. You know what I mean? I think there's a period of that. Kids do grow out of the Disney stage per se
They
because they
do.
want to
They
be
do.
cool, and they attach Disney to their childhood days. You know what I mean?
Like back in the day. It's like some of us
Yeah,
that said that
like,
we,
oh,
we stopped liking wrestling, but we
I
never
gotta
did.
grow out of
You
it.
know?
Yeah, Rick's will do a chest chop for you any day,
Ah,
anytime you need.
dude. Don't put me at a pool party. But
But yeah, back to the the elections. I mean, I just find it interesting, like it depends where these changes have happened. Like one thing I want to highlight, the state of Georgia,
mm,
it lost its Democratic seat to a Republican. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that was a big
And
one.
that's big out there,
Yeah.
because it, wasn't always blue, and it went blue and now it's going back to red, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So how that's gonna play out there is interesting.
Have you seen some of the there's been there was more voter laws changes in some of these states. I believe Arizona changed their voter laws. I believe Nevada changed their voter laws. I think Georgia was really trying to fuck over a lot of people with their voter laws, and that possibly could have been a big effect as to why this race went the way that it went.
Cesar Leo says the Uniparty won last night. Republicans didn't back America First candidates. Okay.
Mm.
What do you think about that?
Well, I honestly think that Cesar Leo has a good grasp on like what that party's goals and what they're trying to do. So if he feels that way, I think so. I mean, I you hear conflicting stories about GOP party leaders not wanting everybody that Trump hand selected to win. You hear stories about him being pissed off that his people didn't win, or him saying, "Oh no, they all won." So there's a lot of conflicting reports. I think what is going to come down to it is how are these seats really going to shake out for the next election?
Well,
Because again, it all goes into determining what type of power the president will have. So if
let's
Biden,
talk. Let's talk
reruns,
about a more important race that's closer to home for us.
okay,
L.A. Caruso and Bass. Right now, Caruso's just ahead of
he's
Bass.
ahead. Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
I think only 50% of the votes have come in or have been counted. I mean,
yeah,
we're still counting, but Caruso's ahead. And I
yeah.
wonder who Cesar Leo supports between the two. I mean, you got to pick one, right? I'm not saying
I'm sure he picked one, but I don't know if it's the one
I
he has.
don't know. I don't know. I'm interested
Yeah.
to see. Hopefully, he lets us know in the
One
comments.
thing, one thing I wanted to share about the LA midterm results. We're going to talk a little bit about the measures, some of the measures that got passed or didn't pass.
Mhm.
But one thing I was kind of impressed with was that there was actually a 23% voter turnout. When you get midterm elections, when you get primaries, you tend to see only 10 to 15% of people out there
Mhm.
voting,
Uh-huh.
because
Definitely.
the presidential ones are, you only really get 40 to 50% of the voter turnout of registered voters. So this was a pretty good turnout, and to see that, I think what that does is, regardless of your party affiliation, it's good to see that more people are exercising their right to vote, especially in LA, and not like some of these other states where they're doing everything in their power to keep people from voting. But that's another topic for another day. But some of the measures, measure one, which was speaking to reproductive freedom, the right to be able to get an abortion, go through your clinical, your with your doctor and everything like that. That passed overwhelmingly
Well,
in
of
Los
course. I mean,
Angeles
it's
and
cat. Yeah.
California.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
yeah, but it's one of those things that you don't want to take it for granted,
No,
you know,
true.
and
100%. We saw it be taken away in certain
and you're
areas.
seeing you're seeing it taken away in certain areas, and I'm glad that California came out in large numbers and they supported this and give women the right to
I mean,
choose.
from my perspective, it's funny. Caruso like Katy Perry. From my perspective, it's just interesting that we have to even put this as a measure. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's not a question, you know what I mean? But that's
Yeah,
my perspective, the
yeah.
fact that because other states are making it or trying to regulate it or prevent
Well,
it, now the fact that we have to put in a measure
yeah.
to reinforce it, I guess you
Well,
could say,
this is
is just a
all.
little wild to me.
This is just all backlash, unfortunately, from of the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus
Yeah,
Wade.
100%. We just want to make sure our state's taken
And
care of and we're
shout outs to Newsom. Shout outs to Newsom. He did win convincingly, but he was at the forefront of it, and he really made it an issue, and he really made it at the forefront of saying, "Hey, we need to do this as California." So that was good. Measure 26 and 27 about gaming, online gaming, and also being able to have sports bets. Neither of them passed. What are your thoughts on that? I know that
I'm a
you tend to
little
dabble. You tend to dabble
yeah,
in
I
those
like to I'm not
games
gonna
as
lie, I
well.
like to gamble. I mean, I didn't like get into extreme details of them. My understanding, 26, you get to like have the dice games, more real, complete real gambling at a
Yeah,
with the Native American casinos. Because right
yeah.
now, if you do roulette, they're using cards. I mean,
Oh,
if
they
you
are.
do craps,
I've never been to one of those
yeah.
casinos
So
actually.
craps is literally they pull two cards out and all the cards there's two shoes and they're 1 through 6, so like whatever number the cards are, that would be the die. You get me? So you have two dice that come with two
Yeah.
numbers, it's two cards. So
That's weird.
yeah, it's not like the actual thing. 27 really bothers me, like online gaming, gambling people, oh, it's going to take away from the casinos. No, it's not. People don't go to the casino to bet on sports. Some do, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but there's not casinos at every corner.
What I
Okay.
saw, the real backlash that I saw on this measure was that was from parents who were saying that, oh, if my kid has access to betting online. I think my biggest question is, how will your kid have access to either money, your credit cards, their how why would you allow them to have that app on their phone?
Listen, it's ignorance. It's ignorance because guess what? There's illegal bookies all over California.
Well, there's that, but how much money do these kids spend on their games already?
100%. And guess what? Just because it's not legal here, Bovada, you know how many international companies there are that a kid can
I
sign up
think you
for?
should name them. I'm pretty sure you know most
We
of
don't
them.
bet us, there's plenty of that easily. So it just doesn't make sense. This is another revenue stream. This can be taxed.
Yeah,
Government can make California can make even more money off
yeah.
of it. It doesn't make sense why. And I really think it's just not understanding, the specific measure.
Hmm.
Um, Other states are doing it, making a
Yeah,
killing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I from my own personal perspective, I'm losing out because I don't get to do those same game parlays. I don't get to do a bet
Mhm.
where there's a cash out, In the other states, they have that, which I think is pretty cool.
If we had the sound drop, we would hit the womp womp
Mwah,
womp.
mwah.
Yeah, I
That's
mean
all right though.
that's one of those. The next one, Measure 28, it provides more public money for art in schools. I think it was a pretty cool one, and it did
Yeah,
pass. So I'm
I
happy to
think
see
that's
that
cool.
because you know, I think unfortunately too many schools have become just testing centers, and all they care about is standardized test scores, and to not provide money and resources for schools to teach students, whether it's art, music, creativity. I think it's really put us behind the eight ball in terms of creating and educating more kids. 31, the ban on flavored tobacco. It's a continuing of a ban that also passed. Coming from somebody who was a fan of menthols, I'm not very thrilled about this stuff. Yeah.
What about the kids, Rex? What about
Yeah,
the
but see,
kids?
again and again,
If I can't have my online gambling, you sure as hell can't have your
no,
flavored
but
tobacco. I'm
again,
sorry, bro.
where are the parents, and why are kids being allowed? They're not allowed to buy the stuff. They're not allowed to buy it.
Yeah,
They're
but the
not
flavored
21.
tobacco companies definitely were advertising,
Well, yeah,
definitely targeting.
and that's stupid. But they were targeting 15, 16 year olds with cigarettes before they had flavors. I mean, how the hell you think I got into chewing tobacco when I was like 16? You know what I mean? Like,
Wild.
and then the last one that I wanted to speak on was the mansion tax, Measure ULA, and that's a tax on multi-million dollar properties in order to have a $1.2 billion bond to help with homelessness, and that did pass. And the couple of arguments that I saw for it were just saying that if you have these multi-million dollar properties, whether they're apartments or big houses, duplexes in certain areas, because multi-million dollars, that's a duplex in LA right now, bro. Like, you know what
Yep.
I mean? Like, and unfortunately, those taxes, they will always go back onto the consumer, to the spender. So obviously, own your home. Uh, I could say that now very proudly. Own your home and
Yes,
make sure
sir.
that you
This is where I
avoid
hit
that.
the yeah.
But what do you think on this tax though to help with homelessness? Because apparently, I'm catching up to some of these measures, but apparently there was already a bond measure of 1.1 billion for homelessness that unfortunately wasn't allocated and used correctly. So I'm wondering if this has a
But that's
much better
always the
plan.
problem. As the trickle down effect, by the time it gets to where it needs to go, it's dry, and that's the problem. That's why people don't trust the politics. People don't trust the politicians. So many people are taking their little hand of it, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
I do think homelessness has become a lot bigger of a
Oh, it's
problem
a big
here in
thing.
LA.
Yeah, yeah,
We always had Skid Row in downtown, and very unfortunate, and it just sucks that that's what people's lives are.
yeah.
But Skid Row is 60, 70 streets in LA
And
now.
it's
It's
there's
everywhere.
cities of it. Yeah, there's
There's
cities all
cities,
over.
these
Even on
poor
the west
people.
side,
Yes,
you always
even
travel
in
to
the
the west side.
valley.
Yeah,
Every freeway underpass has a little colony of people. You know what I mean? And it's like you can argue that some of them put themselves there, some of them have major issues, all that. But for it to get this big, and it just to be normal to us, like
well,
it's
the
just you got to do something different.
the fact of the matter is though, LA, the weather tends to allow for people to
Yeah, it's a
not
little bit
suffer
better.
through those things.
Yeah, it's a little bit
Um,
better.
if Caruso really wins, I really do hope that he puts whatever plan he has in place to help with that, as far as having affordable housing. Because quite honestly, if there was affordable housing, or just opportunities for whether it's shelters or things like that, a lot of people wouldn't be homeless. It's the fact that they're priced out of LA. So you have a city that has great weather that's pricing everybody out. You are going to get an epidemic of that kind of sense.
Hmm.
So, you know, that is the information for yesterday's price is not today's price, but it's the price of democracy. So moving on,
Democracy.
cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the
Cream, get that
money.
money.
Dollar
Dollar
bill,
bill,
y'all.
yo. Yes, sir. Credit rules everything around me. So I just kind of wanted to go back to some of the basics for anyone new listeners that be coming on. Um, so let's say brand new, starting your credit journey, have no idea what it means. I always tell everybody sign up for Experian.com real quick, get a free credit report, see what it's saying about your credit. You're going to find out one of two things. One, you don't have no credit established, or two, you do have credit, very little, good credit, or bad credit, whatever the case may be. If you have no credit established, you got to go secured credit card route to build your credit. So you go to a bank, you actually have to give them money, let's say $1,000 deposit. You use that credit card. You pay it off at the end of the month. Use that credit card, do it again. After about 2, 3, 4 months of doing that, you should get a credit card offer from some type of credit card, or you can start applying for other credit cards because now you have a little bit of a history showing that you can build credit. But let's say you do have a little bit of a credit history. So now you got to learn how your credit score works. Okay. So the max you could get is 850, right? So what makes up this 850? So 35% of that is your payment history. How much you paying on time? Are you paying on time, right? So it's very important. Any credit card you have, always set up automatic payment, at least for the minimum payment, right? Because just in case you forget, just in case something slips through the crack, you never get that late fee and never negatively impacts your credit, right? Another thing, 30% is how much you owe. Okay. So it matters how much of your debt to credit limit you're using, right? So if you have two credit cards, $10,000 is your limit total, and you have used $9,000, you're not looking good. You're using too much. You're over leveraging yourself.
Mhm.
So you want to keep it at 30% or below to start off, and you really want to optimize your credit. You want to be between 1 and 6%. If you could keep your credit limits to 1 and 6%, that's going to help get you the maximum points of that 30% of your credit score. The next thing will be your length of credit history. So it's really important to start your credit journey early if you can. for your children. And don't let those lines of credit close. You know, one thing I like to do, I have 15 plus, 20 plus credit cards. Every credit card has some type of bill or subscription tied to it. That way, for sure, I'm using it. I don't use a lot of those credit cards for a lot of things, but I make sure that they're always being used at least once a month so that they never close on me. Excuse me. If you do have a child, one little credit hack to have, Rick, you about to have a baby girl. Once you know she gets a little bit older, you're not do it right away because you need Social Security and things like that. But as long as you have good credit and you know you plan to be in good standing with that credit, add her as an authorized user.
And I gotta fix it a little bit after all of these purchases. So,
But even fixing it, your credit's not bad.
yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah.
You add her as an authorized user, you start building your credit now, right? And the
Mhm.
whole point of that is that by the time she's 17 or 18, she already has 800 credit score. That car payment she may want to get, that loan payment she may need for school, it can be a lot lower than what it would be if she had no credit history at all. Then another thing is new credit. You know what I mean? Do you have any new credit? When's the last time you got new credit? If you have too much new credit, it's actually bad. If you open a bunch of credit cards, what you doing? What's going on? Like you know, now in your situation, it makes sense, Rick. You
Yeah,
open new lines of credit because
I
you
had
made
to.
a huge investment,
Yeah, yeah,
and you know you bought a house that's gonna get you ROI. You get me?
yeah.
So it makes
I'm
sense,
just saying,
right?
I'm seeing that firsthand as far as opening up more credit for all of these different things that I was doing, and it's because I've been able to leverage it. But yes, it did actually adversely affect my credit score.
Yes, and then also credit mix matters, right? 10%. So what does credit mix mean? Well, you know, if you have only like the Macy's and Home Depot credit cards, it's really not showing anything. Do you have a mortgage loan? Do you have a car payment? You know, do you have a $5,000 credit card, $10,000 credit card? Those things factor in as well, and that's what makes your overall credit score. So once you understand how the credit score math works, you understand how to improve it. You understand what to do to not let it go in the wrong direction. And I can't stress it enough. Cash does make things happen, but in this world we live in today, you need credit to make things happen. Rick, you just bought a house. If you didn't have credit, would you have gotten a house?
Absolutely not. Yeah,
Didn't you have to do things to actually improve your credit just to get the house?
yeah, yeah. So um, there's all these things that you have to do as far as fixing your credit. One thing I do want to ask you, because we've never really discussed it, is I'm an 18-year-old, right? I'm an 18-year-old. I'm about to go to college, and I've had a secure credit card, so I'm able to get a credit card. What are some tips on how to use it and how to pay it off that you will give to an 18-year-old? Because obviously, young kids, when they have that credit opportunity and there's no real struggle behind swiping, it can get away from you real quick. So, what are some tips if one, I need it, but two, I won't be able to potentially pay it off every single month like like a freaking Amex or something.
Okay, so you got to be responsible, right? If you're not paying it off at every single month, you're going to build interest,
So
right?
how do I use it then? What are some things that I should use it for
So
if I'm an 18-year
you want to use it for your everyday purchases. This is where you get your debit card and you look at it and you say, I'm only using you when a credit card's not accepted or when I need to take money out of the ATM for an emergency.
old? Okay. Yeah.
Every other one of my day-to-day purchases, I need to buy food. I'm gonna use a credit card. I need to put gas in my car so I go to work, to school. I'm gonna use my credit card. I want those Gucci flip-flops. Nope, I'm not using the credit card because you can't afford it as an 18-year-old, or most 18-year-olds can't,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So use it for things that you were gonna use your debit card for anyway, and then just be responsible to pay that off or pay most
How
of it off.
how do you again, you're giving me tips. How do I make sure it doesn't get away from me? What are some ways that I can
So
either
I
track
mean,
or know like
that's
what I
okay.
can
So
check?
that's where you got to budget yourself. That's where
Okay.
you know you got to build a routine, looking at it from a week to week perspective. You may not be able to balance it from a month perspective. Maybe you got to break it down from a week to week. You and I were both college students. We remember those top ramen weeks. We remember those $2 taco meals, type thing because we ran out of money, right? We'd
Hmm.
get financial aid, right?
Well, I
We
had a credit card and I got away from me quick.
see you went with
I'm
the credit
and
card route.
again, and it wasn't even that I wasn't going out and spending. I'm just talking about putting
I think
gas. I'm
I
talking
think
about
what it
like
is, I think
food,
what
like
it
that kind of stuff.
is because parents don't do a good enough job teaching kids about money. When it gets to the point where you can use a credit card and just swipe, the emotional attachment isn't there. When it's dollars, when it's money, green, you could feel it and touch it, and you got to take it out of your wallet
Yeah,
and watch your wallet go empty. That emotional attachment makes it so much harder.
yeah.
And that's when
Caesar
you
Leo,
actually
Caesar
second.
Leo give a good comment about using your credit card and how to be smart with it, and that's by taking trips to Rosarito, toothpaste,
Hey,
and Jordans. You know,
yes, yes.
I don't know where the hell in Rosarito you were able to use a credit card. I don't remember being able to use a credit card in Rosarito, but maybe I was just too young and dumb. But
No, no, no. We were using the credit card, but we were buying the J's to go to Rosarito. We were
yeah,
paying for the house or the hotel room with the credit card to go to
no, that was a
Rosarito.
cash. That was a
Oh, you
cash.
did cash? Oh no, I used a card.
Hmm.
But like straight up, that's what it is. That's what people don't realize. And it's not just kids, adults too.
Yeah, no,
Because you're just swiping a
I
card, you're not physically seeing it. And you have to teach people or children to understand this swipe is just like me taking these dollars. When you make that connection, your mind is going to think about the purchases differently.
uh-huh.
It's not going to be as instantaneous,
Yeah,
as easy just to swipe. The reason there's a reason we could just tap now. That's how easy it is. It's just a tap. Just hold it there.
man, that thing's great.
You know what I mean? Again, credit cards, yes, it can be sharks in the water. They're hoping that you do what the majority of our country does and get into debt and get into the quicksand of interest and not being able to pay it out. That's what we're here doing, just trying to educate
Well,
you.
as you build credit, and we've always talked about this, as you build credit, you're able to find cars that have zero APR. You're able to find cars that balance transfer.
Mhm.
So those are the tips later on for people that are just building credit, like you just said. Be real wise, use it when you need it, but build that credit over time so that you're able to get better deals and you're not paying the interest just because. Some people and some cases will have to pay interest, but it's a matter of how do you mitigate it.
Understand the credit system was designed because people just couldn't segregate or what word am I looking for? They couldn't like make decisions on housing just based on their opinions, who they were going to give loans to or not, right?
Oh,
Before in the past, oh, you were of a certain color, we're not going to work with you, right? We put in laws to take that away. Then all of a sudden, this credit game came out, right? This credit score, right? Why did that come out? Because they needed another way to somewhat marginalize certain people. And really, it wasn't necessarily for a specific race per se, but it was for the educated and the uneducated. And if you were uneducated and you did cash and you kept money under your mattress and you never built your credit, how were you ever going to buy a home?
yep,
They did that for a reason.
yep. Man, that was some gems, man. We've got to the end of the show. We're not gonna get to our last topic just because I'm actually running out of battery, so they ain't gonna have me. So I don't know if you want to stay on, Dogra, but this was a lot of
Oh
fun,
yeah, let me
man.
hear by yourself. Nah, I'm
Yeah,
good.
there you go. This was a lot of fun, man. For everybody that joined us, thank you so much for joining Brown Wealth Radio.
Shout out Caesar Leo jumping on.
Yeah, appreciate you,
I do
Caesar.
want to hear Caesar Leo's opinion on I know he definitely backs Trump, but DeSantis, that little beef right there, that's real.
Yeah.
Hopefully down the road we can
I
find
want.
out.
I want to. Yeah, he was cool enough. I might try to jump on and talk with him on his thoughts about it because I think it's a real interesting
No, and I love
political
his
thing that's going
perspective.
on over
No,
this. Yeah,
definitely.
so
And I
I'm real
appreciate you
interested. I'm,
jumping
I'm
on and
hoping.
sharing your
I'm
thoughts.
hoping we're able to set it up for one of these days. Obviously, next week is going to be a real tough for me. But from me to you guys, if I don't see you guys for the next couple of weeks, man, I love you guys. I hope you guys nothing but the best for your holidays and the rest of your year. Doger, my boy, great show. Thanks for setting it up.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Always a
and
great conversation, my man.
we are out. No quieres olvidar.
All right, everybody.
Dun, dun,
Peace out.
check it. The